What's going on, guys? I'm back with another video, and I'm gonna kind of explain what's been happening with the SI with Bruce. It's kind of been a wild few months, so yeah, I'll just get into it. I ended up getting backed into at a Fry's parking lot, and I mean, it wasn't that big a deal, you know. My bumper was hanging off and stuff, but essentially the person admitted fault. They ended up, taking the blame for it. Their insurance paid for everything. My bumper was hanging off, but I mean, I kind of got it, good enough till I got home and stuff, and then eventually got it to the shop, and yeah, it was fixed. And I mean, in the meantime, while that was kind of happening, I was trying to figure out what to do about the clutch, because a lot of the issues I had with the car were the pedal. It would bite really, really low. It was a stage 4. It was like really hard to press to, which I got used to it. But most people that used the car, even if they knew how to drive a manual, they're just fumbling and bucking and jolting. Like, it's not fun for them. You really set up like that, you gotta kind of, find your weak spots and drive it for a while. Very few people are just going to get in a setup like that and just know what they're doing. It took me a while. I knew how to drive stick pretty well, but yeah, eventually, hi kitty, eventually it just, like I said, kept breaking cylinders. And some of my tech friends were like, it needs a clutch, but what I wasn't prepared for was when somebody told me that it needs a pedal assembly. And I said, what? And they actually, I already know this because I've taken out the cylinder before, but there's a pin connecting the cylinder to the pedal via a hole that's cut kind of like right the same size as the pin. Well, mine was so wrung out from having the stage 4 and the spring-loaded freaking tension, all this stuff just wore it out over time, where it was like an oval. So when I would shift, it just allowed for a lot of free play and a lot of, probably pressure issues that ended up breaking things. So after the slave and the master were replaced and brand new fluid, the lines were pretty clean. I mean, you'd probably put 4 or cylinders in that thing. So this place I checked was my work. I work at a Honda dealership, and even with the employee discount though, I mean, it's better than regular price, but man, this stuff was not cheap. A lot of times you get what you pay for. I was trying to look for a good, viable, reliable source to kind of look about, getting an aftermarket replacement, maybe a kind of performance-oriented one. So I didn't want to skimp out and get something, just because it's cheap, but nothing too crazy. Definitely not a stage 4 again. Absolutely not. That was just way too much. The homie that took it out was actually like, yeah, I call it Shitmaster, because, I mean, to be honest, to be fair to Glitchmaster, who knows how long that thing was in the car. It's a 2012. It could have been in there since 2012 or 13 or whatever. But anyway, it was in there for a long time, and I feel like the person that put this clutch in this car didn't replace the flywheel. I think they just took out the clutch and the cover for it and stuff, and then just put everything on and didn't even unbolt the flywheel or the bolts or any of that stuff. So, by the way, I also got new bolts for the flywheel. The bolts alone were like $50. I did get those from work. Anyway, you do have to replace them because they do stretch, technically. Yeah, the crazy, I was looking for some places. Action made a pretty good clutch, but I felt like it was a little more like a stage 2, stage 3. That's like not as gnarly as the 4, but it still might be a little too, hard and low biting and stuff like that. So I did actually learn that Exetti makes the OEM kit, I guess, for the 9th gen clutch. And I ended up looking in a couple different places online. One place I actually saw was Amazon. They have this kit for a lot cheaper than, you know, other places I could find it. Well, I said, you know what? I was even looking at, you know, like I said, other websites, other places, but this one was a whole kit with the flywheel, everything for a lot cheaper. So I kind of thought to myself, you know what? It's a gamble, but if it's if it's the same thing, as long as the parts numbers match and everything, then we should be all right. It was a risk I thought might work out, you know, because I mean it was pretty reasonable. It was no harm. There was a one thing I was kind of worried about, which was the flywheel is not an Exetti flywheel. It's an aftermarket flywheel from a company called Clutch Max. Never heard of them, but you know, essentially it's just a big disc of metal with certain, you know, dowels and all this teeth and stuff on the edge. So I mean, it's basically just a big disc of metal, not super hard, I would imagine, for these companies to do and make. Probably not super complicated. Just, you know, I think, you know, I don't like an internal being that kind of aftermarket, but you know, it'll have to do. It's what the kit came with, and I didn't want to spend more money to find another one, so I got a Exetti kit with the Clutch Max flywheel from Amazon for the 9th gen. And it's interesting because I did have to break it in and everything. That's when I decided to film the rest of the test drive, which is the video you're going to see right now. And I hope you enjoy it. that's even in the CRZ. Sometimes it felt like, because I was in an automatic, I couldn't really control and manipulate the throttle like that, so it's just a little bit different. I could, but the paddle shifts were kind of weird. It was like paddle shifts on most cars, they don't really always let you do what you want to do when you want to do it. It's almost like when the car will allow you to, that's when you want to do whatever you want. Man, that was a nasty burnout. That was, I gotta check the tread on this set after there we go. It's so easy. It's not even fair. It's so easy to drive this car. It just does everything all the Honda SI stuff you want it to do, that's what it does. Now, before, obviously it was a pain with the stage 4 clutch, and it was absolutely cooked. Now, honestly, I can't tell if it's like just more user-friendly or something. Like just over 4,500 RPM, that launch, which is right where I have the Honda set, because it's adjustable. So I mean, it's really nice. I've said this before, Honda or K-tuner for these cars, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Like, you need to get one of those. You need to get one of these. If you don't, you're gonna hate life. Knowing that you can adjust your own launch, which I don't know. You have to sacrifice cruise control, which for me is fine. I've only used it a couple times in the car, so I wasn't too sad about parting ways with it. Car is just, it's everything I wanted the CRZ to be. The SI is that and more. Like, didn't have a sunroof, didn't have a 6-speed, didn't have the high revving K series, didn't have back seats. This color is amazing. Obviously the car still needs a lot of like exterior, you know, little things, rock chips on the hood, all that stuff, but man, for what it is, a daily driver that you can just kind of beat on and not really like care too much about, this thing, man, absolutely amazing. Hear the launch control at least a little better. Okay, here, ready? in it before. So what was happening was it was actually prematurely wearing out the pedal. The hole for the pedal was almost like an oval. It was just, the pin was moving around so much. When I would drive the car, especially like hard launches and stuff like that, eventually it would just end up exploding the master cylinder, which I went through like 4 or 5 of them. So that was probably why. So it ended up working out. My budget ass clutch setup actually ended up working out really, really good. As of now, this is about, what is it? It's January 21st, 2025. Car's got to have at least 2,800 miles on it now since I shot that video. So obviously this clutch, you know, if anyone's wondering, it literally feels exactly the way I got it that first day I drove it home, you know. To not, and let me tell you something too, to not rev out this car for 750 miles was very hard. Like, it physically, the crappy thing is, because of the car's gearing and everything, it was basically like, you know, 5th and 6th gear at around 70 miles per hour. That's pretty much it, you know, because it's going like a 3. So you can't really like rip on it too much. You can't really just bang the limiter on it, you know, because that's exactly what you're not supposed to do when braking in a clutch. So it took some patience, but, you know, represent for all the skateboard car guys. And I still have some CRZ relics in the garage too, just random CRZ parts and stuff like that. But yeah, so the clutch, flywheel, new pedal, the bolts, new slave cylinder, master cylinder. This car basically had a lot of stuff revised or, you know, serviced in the transmission. So it drives like a freaking dream. This thing drives beautiful. A couple things, you know, here and there. So it's got a little oil leak around the tensioner plate, which I gotta fix. Not too hard of a thing. I do have another thing I want to show you guys. So right there, move this oil here. Right there, I got a brand new driver's side axle. Got 2 rear shocks for my wife's HRV, because it's actually leaking. But you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and replace them. My last shop used that brand right here, Excel, pretty good. I also got front and rear rotors for this guy, and I was gonna plan on using just OEM pads because they're cheap at my work. And basically doing my brakes for under 150 bucks, front and back, brand new rotors and pads. See, this is the thing, man, and I try explaining this to people too, because this thing, I'm not paying for it. I don't owe a bank any money for it. It's my car. I have the title to it. And it being a 2012, I mean, you know, some stuff's gotta get updated and serviced every once in a while. A lot of this stuff I got for very cheap. And I even got some other goodies too. Pads, some clear coat and headlight restoration stuff. I got a cup polish here. I got a spot remover. I got some sandpaper, some brand new microfiber. I got a few things, you know. I'll tell you how I got all this stuff too. The next video I do, it's probably not gonna be a huge one, but rotor screws, Japanese rotor screws. I got these from Amazon actually. Yeah, I definitely cleaned up the garage a little bit too, you know, the box from my early lube tech days, tire tech days, sorry. And, well, I was a lube tech as well, actually, so I guess it's all the same, but yep. Definitely worked out. Putting that setup in the car. So we'll see what's next. We'll see what's going on in the future. You know, like I said, one day I would like to boost this car, either turbo or supercharger. I do like the idea of actually seeing the supercharger, but I like the idea of controlling and hearing the turbo and doing all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. But right now, I mean, everything is running great, man. I mean, the car has almost 180,000 miles on it now, and it drives so nice.